So we have a TVT on our hands here, spawning in the top left corner of the map. As the red Terran player playing for Kaizi Gaming, it is Innovation.
And spawning here at the bottom right, as well as possibly across the map in just a second, he is our blue Terran player from Dragon Phoenix Gaming. Give it up for Cure.
So, barracks placement aside, I think that Cure wins by default because he has the star on his command center.
Oh yeah, for sure.
We all know that the star beats everything else, so.
Yeah, that's like an automatic like GG right there, right?
Yep, exactly.
Oh man, I do love that lucky happy star.
It's a very wholesome addition to the game. Now, we're seeing both players basically go for identical builds with the quick double gas, except obviously the key difference is Cure is putting his barracks right next to Innovation's base. So I think, what is that? Is that just going to be a quick Reaper and then try to get in some SCV?
Oh, not
never
quick
mind.
Reaper. It looks like Marauder. Yeah,
I love it.
And I think the second gas kind of gives a little bit away. Of course, Reapers. If you're doing, two gas Reaper, you're probably gonna throw down a second barracks. But knowing that he's only throwing down one, yeah, this is a really smart strategy. Because again, this map, this large main base here, you can kind of hide a barracks and get away with it. And I don't think Innovation has any clue about this.
Yeah, he has not queued any SCVs to scout in that direction. He has no idea where the barracks is. It could be, hidden in Cure's own base for all that Innovation knows, but that is not the case here. The first Marauder is about to pop out. Concussive shells. Oh my gosh, I always overestimate how long it takes, Concussive shells seems to just take no time at all.
Yeah, it's a pretty fast upgrade, and not a lot of resources need to be invested in it, but it's very helpful during the engagement. We do see the first Reaper here from Innovation. We'll go ahead and start getting some pot shots now. The rest of the Marauders are, of course, across the map, but there is another factory behind us, so he should be able to clean up the Reaper back at home. But in the meantime, the Marauders are going to go ahead and pew away.
Yeah, definitely getting some solid damage in. Now we do see two Marines coming here to counter the 3 Marauders now. Excellent split, but already we see most of the Marauders going down. This last Marauder is not going to survive, I don't think. Not before taking down 5 SCVs, whereas Cure, on his side of the map, defended very well with some very cute SCV repair micro, making sure that he didn't lose too many SCVs before the Reaper was finally taken care of. So overall, I think this was a very good trade for our blue Terran player.
Yeah, I agree. Really nice defense there. Didn't really suffer a lot of damage. Let me see how many losses. Oh, actually, looks like is the WCS thing working? I'm not sure. Oh, there we go. Okay. All right. 5 SCV total and 1 Marine. Of course, the Reaper was lost across the map, so that doesn't really count. But I mean, all in all, I do like defense of Innovation, but again, this is not a fully committed attack or fully committed cheese. Only 1 barracks, 1 proxy barracks there, and he did transition into the factory pretty quickly, so he's not too far behind. In fact, he is kind of decently ahead by a few workers here.
Oh. Wow, unburring the mine just so that he could save that shot for another unit. But yeah, it doesn't look like this barracks is going to survive. Of course, Innovation did use a scan to make sure that he brought it down to burning health. And it's so funny because when the barracks was getting down to that point, I saw that Cure queued up with another barracks at home. And it's kind of funny to see that. It's like, hey, I have a starport. I have a factory. What do I need? I need a barracks. Going back down the tech tree.
I wouldn't mind if Cure just went full on mech here. I mean, as I say that though, he is throwing down the Reaper, Reactor. So I don't know. Maybe he can still go for mech play here. I mean, just make another factory. Let's see here. What is this SCV gonna land down? Okay, just a Thirsty Sea. Okay.
Yeah, I like this Raven, and the tank is also just about to pop for Cure, so definitely a bit of a mechy kind of opener, just to sort of stay safe against any potential aggression. Now, of course, Innovation, having his barracks at home, has been pumping out a lot of Marines, so this is definitely looking to be something. Now, I'm not so sure. What do you think, Snoopy? Is Innovation just trying to stay safe, or is Innovation actually trying to go for something?
Well, it looks like, I mean, he doesn't have stim quite yet or any combat shield, so this is probably just to help establish or at least defend a potential third base. He does have an SCV parked there over at the third, so we should see the command center being thrown down pretty soon. Now on the other
I like that move a lot. Having the units just sort of out there on the map. We see the Cyclone and the group of Marines close to the third base location. Now, of course, that will allow him to put down the third command center on location. But now this Raven is kind of in a little bit of trouble, losing a Cyclone in that little skirmish. So you're not too happy about that one.
Yeah, gotta make sure you save all the units you can save, because currently the army of Innovation is quite large compared to Cure. I mean, he's ahead by 40 to 28 army supply. And losing another Cyclone. Wow, that is not good. The Cyclone is really adds a lot of firepower and heft into the army of Cure, but luckily Cure does have at least have some tanks.
That's right. Now, Innovation is probably going to definitely want to contest the air. He's got... Oh, no, he's actually going to head on home after putting down that scan. Seeing that there are 3 tanks as well as 2 Vikings and 2 Ravens. Going to wait for the backup Vikings to come in and then possibly try to go in again. Because, of course, in turn versus turn, tank battles all come down to the air controls. These tanks can shoot further than they can see, so they rely on air support to siege properly. Oh, and that is a nasty siege position.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man.
Now, unfortunately, Innovation doesn't have any medevacs to kind of ferry some of his Marines over. But at the meantime, I mean, he does at least have the positioning, but the siege don't really shoot as far to be able to touch the command center. So as long as Cure siege up his own tanks, he shouldn't suffer too much damage.
Putting turret just to take a few shots at the SCVs. Actually, wow, 4 SCVs for free? That's a pretty good trade.
Yeah, it does even up the worker supply there. Again, Cure was ahead by about 4 SCVs after the Marauder. I guess the failed Marauder cheese, but I mean, how much of a fail if it kind of leads you into a worker lead? So I say quote unquote fail because it didn't really do as much damage as we usually see from a Marauder cheese proxy. But anyhow, we do see a kind of a standstill here as both players are trying to get into position, making sure they got their areas covered.
Yeah, now we're starting to see that sort of tank dance, if you will, that is pretty common in these kinds of turn versus turns. But we have to note that we have to note that Cure has Stim and is already working on 1-1, whereas Innovation is not working on his upgrade. So Innovation, even though he does have that air control, he knows that he can't exactly push up that ramp. So he's going to try to slowly come in here. Now these Vikings of his are doing tremendous damage to the air army of Cure, taking down both Ravens, or I believe 2 Ravens, and a lot of those Vikings. So all that's really left for Cure to shoot up are those Marines and just a handful of Vikings. Pretty good skirmish going in favor of Innovation, I believe. Yeah.
Now the Raven count is pretty even, but yeah, the Viking count. Let's see here. How much Vikings does he has? Currently, he has 8 Vikings versus 4 of Cure. So for the time being, Innovation will have the air superiority.
Oh man, I love this. Innovation just started +1/+1, but for mech. So he's planning a mech transition. He has 2 Liberators just about to finish. I love this kind of transition, opening up safe with a bunch of Marines, but don't commit to them. They only cost minerals, so why not just go full into mech. I love this decision by our Red Terran player.
Yeah. Ooh, we do see a little bit of a miss micro there. Kier losing his Cyclone, and really Cyclone is the only unit right now that can kind of push the Vikings of Innovation back further, because right now he can't really, he only has four Vikings, so he can't really engage with that. He doesn't have any doors, so that Cyclone was actually pivotal.
Now these Liberators are going to start sieging and dealing quite a lot of damage on the blue siege tanks, allowing those red siege tanks to siege up just a little bit more forward. And this is where it gets really scary, right? Kier going for the stim forward, not getting anything done really, because those two Liberators are still alive, costing him a lot of tanks and basically all of his Vikings. Now at the same time, he does have a pretty nice drop going on at the side of Innovation, taking down 14 SCVs at his natural, but he has nothing left at home. The tank count for our Red Terran player is just too great. So this is a very interesting, not so base race kind of situation.
Yeah. Now he knows that really these Marines would have been kind of useless back at home. So I do like this decision by Kier to go for the counterattack with these Marines and try to get some damage done. He did get some significant damage done indeed. 27 SCVs going down during that fight. But the siege here, this chokehold that Innovation has on Kier is still ongoing. And he still does, for the time being, have the air majority with the 3 Vikings versus 2.
Yeah,
now,
definitely. Losing those Cyclones in those early engagements definitely hurt Kier, right? Because as you mentioned earlier, Snoopy, those were really the only ground units at the time that could sort of contest that air control. But having none of those kinds of units to be able to give Kier to swing the air superiority in his favor really hurt him for the rest of this game. And Innovation, now he's not exactly in the supply lead right now, he's actually quite even with Kier, but earlier he took the supply lead despite a worker deficit, just by having more units, and he never really let go of that. And up until this point, he's actually stayed even on supply. Now, I believe Kier's saving grace here could be the 2-2 that just finished for his bio, but look at that tank line, right? And you can't contest the air. I mean, he's already moving his third all the way down to the 4th location. There's not really much that Kier seems to be able to do.
There's absolutely no way, and I mean no way, that Kier can really break out of this. Because look at that arc of the tanks, of the tank line. I mean, that is just kind of going to a meat grinder, and he doesn't quite have any medevacs to ferry his, or to like lift up his Marines to go over to the 6 o'clock base to defend against these 2 tanks. And in fact, these SCVs going on a little bit of a cross-country trip here.
They were being chased away by a couple of rogue tanks. Not like Innovation needed those tanks, however. Now, actually, this air engagement is going in favor of our blue Terran. The 2 Liberators did siege up and eventually shoot away some tanks, but the red Vikings did come back, surviving that engagement. And yeah, I mean, look at this tank line. It's not a tank line, it's a tank pallet, it's a spread. It's you cannot break that, no matter how many Marines you have.
Yeah, I mean, if Innovation continues this line of siege tanks, you might as well go ahead and create the Great Wall of China right here. All right, looks like. Oh, go ahead. Oh, never mind.
Right. GG is called. Wow. Spawning here in the bottom left corner of the map, up 1-0 in this best of 5 series. Playing for Kaisi Gaming, it is Innovation.
And spawning here at the top right, he is our blue Terran player, still rocking the happy face even after that loss. He is from Dragon Phoenix Gaming. It is Kier.
Kier again, sending out an early SCV. Now his first barracks is at home, so this is looking more like a Reaper build, if I'm not mistaken. Please prove me right. Please prove me right. Yes? Okay.
And it is.
Although that doesn't really prove anything. Actually, yeah, maybe it does. Who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, that last game was really interesting, right? We saw that Kier took a pretty decent sort of trade in the early game, and then Innovation, the madman that he is, he just sort of didn't care. And he built up a crazy amount of Vikings to accompany the Ravens, took that air control, supplemented it with basically all the tanks in existence in the Terran army, and then just sort of won. That was pretty great.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it was kind of a difficult situation because, you know, he couldn't really break free, and his dirt was getting pretty much sieged up. He couldn't mine off of that dirt base, and he couldn't even mine off at the what you would call the fourth base. And
oh man.
Oh man.
That is not what Kier wanted. And if you saw earlier, the highlight showed that the barracks was queued up to put a tech lab down. So, I mean, maybe this is just a safer version of the Marauder Rush, or was supposed to be a safer rush, but now it's just a prolonged scout. That's what this barracks is doing. So Innovation, feeling really comfortable, just goes ahead and slaps down that natural command center.
Yeah, it's not the greatest feeling. I mean, it's like a thief coming to break into your home, and you already have the gun like face up at the door. He just breaks in, and he's like, "Whoops, wrong pass. I didn't mean to break in. Don't shoot me."
Yeah, excuse me. I had the wrong address.
It's not what it looks like.
It's not what it looks like. This is just a scout, I promise. Oh man.
Oh man, poor Kier. Now, and this was like a more committed one compared to the last game, right? Because he placed down 2 racks in this game compared to the 1 racks of last game.
Yep, that's right. Definitely not a good investment at all, because obviously you lose more than just 150 minerals. You lose the time, you lose the time that the SUV was building it, etc., etc. But yeah, it looks like both players are just going to try to ignore that anything happened. Well, of course, Kier being obnoxious and trying to produce a Marine with the barracks placed slap down in the middle of the mineral line. Very cute move there.
Now, all in all, like, even though the opening of Kier was not the greatest, I mean, he hasn't actually done a bad job transitioning out of this. He quickly threw down his second base, and even, wow, actually threw down the barracks into the natural mineral line, making 1 Marine, getting actually an SCV. Oh, wait, actually, did he get an SCV? I'm not quite sure. Oh, no.
No, the SCVs were evacuated right on time. That's because they have 45 health.
Right, right.
I mean, I'm technically right, but that could lead us down a wave of salt tears, but that is okay.
Alright, I guess you might as well get your scouts worth, right? If you're going to invest 150 minerals into that barracks.
That's right. Yep, definitely. Now, I will say, I totally agree with you. I think that Reaper made the best of this very unfortunate situation. Yeah, taking that map control. Oh, excellent medevac micro by Innovation. Picking up that Reaper just in the nick of time. Canceling the Cyclone's damage and, you know, saving... Oh, even saving the Marine. Oh, man. Absolutely crazy.
Yeah, some nice micro there by Innovation. Saves all his Marines and will force the barracks to, once again, explode. And I suppose that's what you all want. I mean, well, a lot of people want in their movies. A lot of explosions.
Yeah, if there's not an explosion every half hour, then I walk out of the theater. Gotta keep my blood pumping, you know? Now, Innovation going for a nice little move out here. He does have the flexibility of the medevac, so it looks like he will siege up on the low ground with the Raven spawning on the high ground. Now, oh wow, so... Okay, the blue Raven does get disabled, as does the red Raven, so the medevac drop will go on uninterrupted in Kier's main mineral line. Taking out a decent amount of SCVs, actually.
Yeah, actually doing a nice job there. I wouldn't expect that many SCVs to go down, especially with the Cyclone there, but nice job. Pretty well done.
Yeah, in total, 8 whole SCVs going down just for that single drop. Now, on the other side of the map, Kier does have his own single drop going on as well, so looking to get a bit of economic damage for himself as well. Yeah, it looks like Innovation will be forced back home now that Kier has defended his main and his natural, taking back that air control that he was so lacking in the first game.
Oh, the medevac does go down, so unfortunately these Marines will be stuck here, but I think Kier should be satisfied with the amount of damage. Getting 9 SCVs, even getting the 1 tank there. So all in all, I do like how Kier kind of has recovered from his losing those 7 SCVs back at home, as well as the tank.
Yeah, definitely evening up the worker counts. Now, the only thing is that Innovation has a 3rd orbital actually completed and already going onto location. Now, this could be good for Kier as he is moving out, so we will have to see how this plays out. Yeah, actually, nothing is in position to protect the 3rd orbital, so it could actually go down to the Vikings.
That's a little unfortunate. Oh wait, actually, is he gonna lose this command center? And that, he does, not being able to repair in time. That is a huge pickup for Kier.
Wow, and also Innovation a little bit sloppy there, having 7 SUVs that were rallied across the map, just losing them for free. Now he does have a very high amount of tanks, having 6 as opposed to 3 on his side of the map. I'm gonna go ahead and take the cross-location 3rd base on location. So Kier, recognizing that he's dealt enough damage, probably can't sustain a siege, decides to head on home and macro up on his side of the map as well. So wow, a little bit scrappy here in the first 10 minutes of the game, but definitely well played by both players. Both of them just trying to fight to keep each other down. You know, so sometimes we have games where players are racing ahead, or they're trying to push each other down in the economies. And I think that we're seeing a lot of pushing each other down, which is very exciting.
Yeah, and especially in the TVT, I mean, things can get pretty crazy and volatile. So you want to make sure your opponent stays down and keep him down for the count. Now, we do see that Kier does have at least 4 tanks here and the air control. Oh, actually, never mind. He doesn't have, maybe, I don't know, maybe it's an anti-armor missile. That might actually change the top. Yeah.
Oh, Cheeto Dust going down on all of the blue SUVs, a disable even on one of them. Oh, quite a lopsided skirmish in the air. Innovation putting down the abilities, but not quite being able to make use of them, given his lower count overall.
Yeah, and do note that Kier does have defender's advantage, so the reinforcement of these Vikings will come faster and quicker for Kier compared to Innovation.
Alright, so the siege begins once again. Now, 4 Vikings does beat 2 Vikings and a Raven. Actually, looks like they're going to chase Innovation's air army all the way past the tank line, taking down the Raven for now. Now, that auto turret did come in a little bit clutch, you know, just dealing out consistent FPS and actually taking down all but one of those Vikings. Now, all that's left for Innovation on the ground are all of those tanks, as well as a couple of Viking reinforcements coming out for both players.
Oh, once again, Kier winning the air battle here. So even though Innovation has so many tanks, he can't quite push in yet.
You know, I want to say that I like Innovation's playstyle. It's just that I'm a Zerg main and I really don't like mech. But I can definitely see why it's so appealing. Now, I'm calling it because we do see the double armor coming up for Innovation. Oh no, a bit of a miss micro, I believe? Or maybe, maybe not. Innovation just has too much. But GG is called. Kier evens up the score 1-1.
Alright, let's get this started here on Dragonatha, game number 3.
That's right, spawning here in the bottom left corner as the Blue Terran rocking that star face on his command center. Playing for Dragon Phoenix Gaming, it is Kier.
And spawning here at the top right, he is the red Terran player from Kai Z Gaming. Tired of being cheesed out, he is Innovation.
Yeah, sending out 2 SCVs, so it's going to be a double proxy from Innovation.
Yeah, he's
looking
like
to get quite a bit aggressive.
Yeah, he's like, you know what, Kier, you haven't been doing so well with your proxies in the past 2 games. Let me show you how it's done.
Oof. Yeah, definitely.
All right, looks like it's going to be more of a Reaper type of proxy. And oh, will we get a scout from Kier? Nope, not quite. Doesn't turn left there.
Yeah, that SCV is queued up to go across the map to Innovation's main, I believe. Not quite gonna catch the double proxy from our red Terran player. Yeah, this is gonna get really scary really fast because that Reaper is gonna be right on top of Cure's own Reaper in just a moment. And then it's gonna have its brethren following up behind it, right next to the ramp. So this is not looking too good for Cure. Just now starting a factory, but that factory is not going to be done for a while, and even then, it takes time to make any units out of the factory. Now, that Blue Reaper does spot what's going on, does get the high ground advantage on the first Red Reaper, so Cure knows what's up. Now, we have to watch for his response. He pulls 3 SCVs preemptively. I like that move a lot, making sure that he's not going to die immediately.
Yeah, it's how you usually want to do it, because you're not going to have the Reaper advantage, so you're going to have to mainly rely on the 1 Reaper and a couple of Marines and the SCVs to buy you enough time until that Hellion is about to pop out. Because once that Hellion pops out, it gets much easier to clean up the Reapers. Of course, Reapers are light units, and Hellions do have extra damage on those light units.
Alright, here we go. So, 4 Reapers from Innovation engaging the high ground forces of Cure, taking down 2 SCVs as well as a Reaper. Now, these SCVs are suffering a lot because obviously 4 Reapers can kill a lot quicker than 1. Now, a couple of Reapers from Innovation are going down. Pretty decent surround from Cure. That Hellion also goes down just as another one pops out. And overall, both sides taking quite a few losses here in the early game. Of course, Cure not too happy about those 5 SCVs that are going down. But Innovation just pumping out Reaper after Reaper.
Yeah. Now the 5 SCVs going down isn't quite as defeating, because remember, the tech of Cure is going to be much further along compared to Innovation. And
speaking of tech.
Wait, oh yeah, Innovation has not yet scouted that proxy starport. Oh my goodness.
Oh man.
And
this series is just one big no you. We just see a lot of this is great. Now this main force of Innovation is actually doing a decent amount as that Liberator finally sieges up and takes down 5 of its own SCVs real quick. Oh man. What a slugfest.
Absolutely. It's just chaos going all out through the map here. Luckily, the Cyclone will pop out for Innovation, or else you would have been stuck without mining for quite a long time. And let's take a look at
don't tell me Cure's starport is actually going to get out and... Oh, okay. It looked like it was about to cure... oh, it is going to land, but it's not going to queue up a tech lab. I was just about to say, if we're going to see some battle cruisers, some cattle bruisers... Now, these Reapers, hold that thought, because these Reapers from Innovation are still in the main of Cure, dealing a decent amount of damage, and it's actually stopping all mining. This is not a good economic position for Cure.
Yeah, on the other side of the map, Cure was able to slow down the economy, but these Reaper being so active also kind of doing the same thing. And now Innovation is going to go ahead and start planting down his, or establishing his second base here. Oh, I like how Innovation is like actively scouting that starport, making sure it's not having a tech lab on top of it.
That's right. Yeah, like you said, just the constant action with the Reapers being able to take map control as well as scout around, and also, as we can see here, deal some damage. Innovation, of course, with that, not only the worker lead, but having the low ground orbital, not just the command center, but an orbital at his natural location, while Cure still trying to finish his high ground CC, so not quite not quite the position you want to be economically as the blue Terran.
Yeah, now Innovation has scouted the move out of Kier. Now this could be like a fake poke out, like a like a fake pressure, or a slight pressure. So Innovation doesn't want to overly get too defensive, but at the same time you still got to be aware that it could be a real push. But luckily for Innovation, he does have the tank, second tank on the way as well. Raven coming out of the starport very soon, and with the secondary scouting by those Reapers, we'll see that the main army of Akira has retreated back home, so you can kind of rest easy for the time being.
Innovation holding strong with a 10 worker lead, and still these Reapers finding an angle, dealing some damage somehow, getting 3 SCVs. Oh my gosh, Kira the Madman. And a Hellion?
Oh my
no way.
goodness, wow.
Wow. Crazy. Excellent Reaper micro so far.
Yeah, they definitely paid their dues. Alright, once again, we see ourselves a mech game in this TVT, which I absolutely love because we don't really get to see a lot of mech games in general. And so I do like how, these two players are incorporating a mech into their play for this particular series.
Yep, now we're seeing a siege out of Pure. Very oh, looks like a bit of miss micro, accidentally landing the Vikings and taking a pot shot, which, oh man, is actually enough for the Cyclones to pick off that Viking. So we're seeing a similar situation to last game where one player was sieging up the other on the low ground, trying to find that angle, but we don't see any medevacs for a potential drop. So it looks like here is just going to rotate. Yes, I am a Valorant player. I know that word. And just going to siege up at the natural on the low ground instead.
Oh, he does take out the simulator. Or I guess the refinery, rather. Now he probably wants to kind of inch forward with the air advantage that he has, because that fourth refinery is going to be so important for him to power and get those those additional mech army, the tanks, the Cyclones. Looks like he is going to go ahead and on the innovation side throw down 2 additional barracks, so he is not quite going full on mech. Going to start adding in those Marines, and here we go. All the turrets are being thrown down. We'll go ahead and push Kier back just a tad.
Yeah, it looks like that was enough to break out of Kier's siege. Kier losing his air army, losing quite a few tanks, not willing to put the Marines through that meat grinder, so definitely a good move for Kier to back up in that moment.
Yeah, because if it gets to the point where Kier had like a huge arc contained of tanks, it's going to be very almost impossible for innovation to break out, similar to kind of game 1 and on the Romantic side. So this time around he made sure that didn't get to that point, and he's now going to be able to start establishing and mining from that dirt base, that crucial dirt base.
Innovation actually losing a handful of units as he was scouting for that proxy starport. Now that proxy starport coming in quite handy actually, so going to be able to reinforce Kier's standing army of tanks and Marines with Vikings relatively quickly.
Alright, Kier trying to find a kind of an opening here, just kind of maneuvering and rotating around, but just not quite finding the opening that he wants. Gonna go ahead and attempt to do so in the right side here.
Oh, you don't want to push up that ramp with those Marines. Now, Kier, awkwardly enough, has a decent amount of Vikings just sort of sharking around, trying to see whatever damage they can do, and actually going to be able to pick off a medevac for free. Now, Innovation going for that combat shield, so it looks like he will be committing. Oh, my bad. He actually already had stim, and his 1-1 is 2/3 done. But yeah, Cure not really able to find those angles. Innovation being able to not only take, but successfully mine from his third base. Now, on the other hand, because Cure is on his side of the map, he will be able to establish his own third, which is about to be under threat by a single drop. So, Cure, also on the defense, both players simultaneously playing two different angles.
Yeah, I do like the decision here by Innovation to send out his Marine force, because you know he can kind of go for the counterattack while this siege siege battle is happening. But Kira was smart enough to kind of realize what was happening. Did go for the scan and did see the move out. But either way, I did like the move out from Innovation, because not only can you kind of go for the counterattack, but you can also probably pick off any straggling reinforcements coming from Kira that's walking across the path.
Yeah, definitely. Now, it looks like Innovation is going to be the one who's angling. At the same time, he is taking a fourth base on location. Obviously, he's had that worker lead for most of this game, and he's definitely taking advantage of it here now. He actually ignores the oh, I'm sorry. I thought that the starport was still there, but it's just the reactors. So, there we go. The starport is about to land. Now, Innovation is just going to stim right on in and siege up almost completely on top of Cure's army, taking down quite a few things, taking a pretty severe supply lead, and all that's left for Cure is, well, nothing really as he GG's out. Innovation takes game number 3. In the top left corner of the map as the Red Terran, playing for KaiZ Gaming. Up 2-1, so he is on match point in this best of 5. It is Innovation.
And here at the bottom right, he's our blue Terran player hailing from Korea, looking to tie up the series and push it to a decisive game 5. Can he do it? He needs your energy and your cheers. It is Cure. And my goodness, for the fourth game in a row, we have ourselves a proxy. I mean, these guys are just feeling extra cheesy today.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, mirrors definitely bring out the best or the worst, depending on your opinion, of each race.
Alright, once again, 2 gases. Now, we did see how badly those first two proxy from Kier did not quite pan that well. But maybe he has better luck this time around. I mean, assuming if Innovation doesn't scout this.
Oh, man. Got my heart racing there for a second. I thought that SCV was headed down because of the angle of the ramp. It sort of looked like it was headed straight towards the barracks. That is not the case here, however. But yeah, we're going to see that Marauder rush that we saw in game number 1 from Cure. Now, in game number 1, Cure did deal a not insignificant amount of damage with the Marauders, but the difference was that the barracks was on the high ground, it was in the main, and it was completely unscouted. So this Marauder rush is going to be, I think it's going to be a little bit more stalled out, right? Because it's going to have to go up the ramp, it's going to have to deal with the supply depot wall, it's going to have to deal with units behind that wall, etc., before it can get to the SCVs. And yet, on the other hand, Innovation already has that Reaper, which actually is not scouting around. Oh no. Oh. Okay.
Oh my goodness. I am quite surprised he let the SCV and Marauders up there. Luckily he does kill off the bunker, because the bunker actually provides the Marauder with high ground vision. And so, you know, sometimes you do see the Terran player that's doing the proxy Marauders, they kind of lift out their barracks and just flow over to the ramp area to kind of get some vision, but with the bunker there, he was able to kind of delay that and push out extra Marauder here. Okay, only now, you know, he is going to go ahead and start floating up that barracks. Oh my god, so close to the Widow Mine.
Yeah, it definitely is too close for comfort, but these Marauders are within range, at least 2 of them. Or, there we go, all 3 of them are in range of that supply depot. gonna get good work done, but good job from Innovation being able to push out that bunker on the high ground just in time. Oh, excellent split. Still, you just lost 33% of your army, so not too good at about that. But Innovation on the other side of the map does have a proxy starport of his own, producing a Liberator, taking a leaf out of Cure's Book of Cheese.
I bet a lot of people would love that Book of Cheese.
Oh, definitely. Here we go. Innovation's Liberator goes right into the main. Siege is on top of the command center. How many SCVs will it get? We do see a pretty decent split. Only 2 SCVs. 3. Cyclone does come out. Will shoot away the Liberator. Oh, but it re-sieges. A bit of a bait. Very cute move. Does get 1 more SCV.
And once again, we have ourselves kind of a crazy start, as both players are just proxying after proxies after proxies. Now, all in all, things have kind of stabilized and evened up. It looks like both players did defend rather well, actually. Didn't really suffer too much damage on either side.
Yeah, you're right about that, Snoopy. In the meantime, both players have actually found the minerals to start up command centers. Now, this is interesting because I believe it is Cure's first game in this series, in game number 4 of this best of 5, where he actually has mathematically the economic lead. His orbital is just about to finish. Excuse me, it's already finished, but it's just about to land, and Cure is already mining from his natural base. Whereas Innovation has the army lead, but not quite the economic lead just yet.
Yeah, CC isn't too far behind from Innovation, so he will start to get mining. But what I am curious to know is how much this proxy starport is going to come into play. He did make a Raven, but I was thinking like maybe he could have gone for the Banshee with the cloak. However, I'm not sure if that would have been quite as effective, because there are already a couple of Cyclones out on the field for Cure, so you're kind of betting on Cure not having that scan energy, and also not having the Raven, but looks like Cure has gone for both. So if theoretically Innovation did go for some Cloak Banshee play, Cure would have been in position to counter that.
Oh man, this is a wild game. Cure about to finish his 3rd command center. And Innovation, with the proxy starport, lifts off and does not actually go home. Just puts down a reactor right next to that tech lab. Who needs a starport at home when you can just produce, like, in the middle of the map?
Yeah, I mean, it's part of colonizing, right? You just, like, take territories.
Oh, man.
Build your buildings there, create civilization there, and like start growing your community.
Oh, we have a bit of a skirmish with Cure actually taking the lead because he was on A move, whereas Innovation was on move command, actually taking down all of Innovation's army and not losing a single Cyclone. Definitely a very different sort of opener from his first game where he lost almost all of his Cyclones. Now, they are going to scout that tank, and I believe... Oh, they're going to try to jump on top of it, but that was not the move to make, as those Marines were hiding on top of the ramp.
No, that was kind of lucky, or either that was kind of a bait, because yeah, you see a lone siege tank out there, all exposed, and you want to get up right close to it and just like kill it, but you don't
exactly.
But you don't expect like a bunch of Marines to just pop out of nowhere. I mean,
yeah, for sure. One thing I did not expect though was for that Hellion and that Cyclone to get out alive. I thought they were all gonna die. But they're going to live to face Innovation's army once again, coming down towards the 3rd base location of Cure. We see the first scan going down, just verifying what kind of army they have. Now, we do see a pretty big double drop going into the main. Ravens are in pursuit.
Oh, wow. Auto terrorists adding a lot of firepower. Cleans up a lot of the Marines here, so not a lot for Cure to clean up after. So
yeah, buying a lot of time, especially with the Raven disabling one of the medevacs. Right? We saw that one of the medevacs was not able to drop after about half of its payload was on the map. So all in all, that double drop was handled very, very well by Cure, sending those 2 Ravens to stall out, and then finally the Marines came back in to clean up whatever was left. Now, of course, that medevac did survive and is going to reinforce the rest of the army. Oh, just kidding. It's going to be taken out because it was on the wrong side.
yeah, don't want to be on the wrong side of the fence there. Alright, once again, we're going to have ourselves a siege tank standstill. However, Cure does have the advantage as he does have 2 Ravens and the Vikings there, but Innovation still boldly trying to go in, but that was the absolutely wrong call. Innovation, his army gets absolutely destroyed.
Oh, wow. GG is called. We're going to a game 5 here. Cure takes game number 4. Snoopy, I can die happy now. I've seen a TVT in this series where there are no proxies.
Oh my goodness.
We've seen it all. This is crazy.
Indeed, indeed. Quite a surprise considering how this series has gone, where both players, either one of these players has gone for at least a proxy to start off the game. But you know what? 5th map, a decisive 5th map here to decide who wins the series. You know, just gonna play it safe just a little bit and kind of play their most comfortable, their most solid build. And I immediately love Cure's supply depot placement there, making sure that if there is a proxy, because again that was the trend, that proxy Reapers does not jump in and out. And I think this is one of the maps that does really kind of frowns upon proxy Reaper builds, because it's so easy on this map specifically to block off that jump point. And so yeah, you don't really see a lot of that in here. Maybe you see a proxy Marauder push, maybe make the proxy barracks at the natural, but usually you don't see a right side proxy with Reapers.
Speaking of sides with the proxies, we did see a very cute moment where both Reapers on either side scouted in almost exactly the same pattern. Innovation a bit more thoroughly scouting his straightaway 3rd location as well, just to make doubly sure that there are no proxies on his side of the map. Now, it does look like Cure is pumping out quite a few Reapers, so looking to get possibly a little bit aggressive in the early game.
Yeah.
With that Hellion production.
For sure. Definitely looking like it. I wouldn't be surprised if he made or follow up with additional Reapers after these initial Reapers. Yeah, he's making 2 more, so yeah, he's gonna go for a timing push, so kind of for some pressure. And sometimes, if one of the Terran players does not micro well, it can kind of snowball. So both these players gotta be careful.
Yeah, immediately costing Innovation 1 Hellion because Cure had the high ground advantage for just a moment. Now Cure sensing that. Oh man, Innovation being caught out once again. Finally does take down a Hellion, but at what cost? This was not a good trade. Ooh! Clutch wall being put up just in the nick of time. Cure decisively taking this first engagement.
Yeah, overwhelmingly, in fact. I mean, he's still got so much Reapers and Hellions left over. And again, those Reapers can, regenerate their health. So by the time they get this, they engage here at the natural, they're going to be in full life. And one Cyclone is not going to clean this entire army up. And oh my god, so many SCVs going down.
No, not like this. Reapers actually going and targeting the Cyclone itself, actually taking it out. Excellent grenade micro. GG is called. Cure decisively takes game number 5 and this best of 5.